there might be the elephant in the room. This is Josh Grine and family wanting to be involved in the ASA and not for Competition Archery Media or Lancaster Archery Supply. This was a personal thing that my family and I decided that we wanted to be involved in. We like this. We want to see it grow, and we want to see it continue into the future.
Welcome, everyone, to the Competition Archery Media podcast. I'm Greg White, and on this particular podcast, we have something special coming at you. If you are a fan of ASA or you're a shooter of ASA, which we know a lot of you are, then today's a big day. You've stumbled on this podcast because of a huge announcement, and that announcement is that the ASA is now got a co-owner. That's right, Mike Tyrell has sold ASA, kind of. But you're here to find out more about that. So let's welcome in co-owners to ASA, Mike Tyrell, who's also the president, and Josh Grine. Welcome, guys, to the podcast. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Well, Mike, let's start off with you. You've been the owner of ASA now for many years, and now we have some big announcements, some big news coming forward. Tell us about it.
Well, after 25 years and turning 70, it seemed like the time for me to start finding a way to transition ASA into new management and new hands. And fortunately for me, I was able to find someone with Josh's credentials and background that I think is going to make a great, easy transition for all of us. And I look forward to working with him for the next couple of years. And then I look forward to retiring.
Well, Josh, you made it all possible for Mike to set his future in retirement. But how did you look at ASA and think to yourself, this is something that I want to be involved with and to co-own it?
Yeah, well, ASA's been an adventure. I think I was at my first ASA. I think this is year 3. So my daughter started shooting archery and wanted to shoot at ASA, and so today let's go. We went to Foley in 2019, and that was kind of the beginning of it. We fell in love with the community at ASA and the family dynamic of it, and just she wanted to be at every one. And that same weekend set in motion Rob and I having conversations about Competition Archery Media and the need there for somebody to run that and take that by the reins and go with it. So that started it. And then I remember I was at Fort Benning 2 years ago. It's down by the river, watching the fog come off the Chattahoochee there, and man, this is great. And my mind started spinning. How do I get more involved in this? And all the ideas of, well, we could start something else. We could, just to have this kind of community, how do we become more of a part of it? And that started the thought process, and working with Mike with the broadcast and getting to know him better and having conversations. This past year, we started talking about what it looked like, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are, and now all of a sudden, you guys are co-owners. Now, as Mike messes around with that phone, because he is in the office down in Georgia at the ASA headquarters, and of course, the time we're recording this, it's a holiday. Yeah, it's closed today, but we know that everybody's calling because the season's getting ready to start. And with that season getting ready to start, Mike, and obviously this big announcement, let's talk about what's concerning most people out there that are listening to this for the first time. Are there big changes coming down the pipe between now and the beginning of the season for the first event at Foley?
No, there really won't be. I think that's part of the conversation that we've been having this entire time, is that this is going to be as seamless as possible. The only thing that's going to be happening this year is what's already been announced and already put out there. They have seen some changes that were made prior to Josh and I finalizing the agreement, such as going digital with the magazine, which is a young man's game, not something that an old fool like me should be getting involved with. But that's the way that's the way it works. And I can't even work this phone. We went digital with the rules. We've gone digital with the tour guide. It makes it easier for you to load up on your phone. You can look at it anytime you need to get any information off of it. We are going to a new site in Louisiana at Camp Minden. We're very looking forward to that. It's right near Shreveport. So instead of going to Paris, where we had a limited amount of hotels, we're going to Shreveport, where there's over 10,000 hotel rooms. We're looking forward to that new site. We think it's going to be a a really good opportunity for us. We can go back up to our full 14 ranges that we can't do in Paris. So we just outgrew the Paris facilities because of the popularity of the sport in the Texas market. So, and Louisiana. So that change is going to be made. And then another thing that we're going to be doing with the pro classes is that they're not going to be allowed to drop a score towards their shoot of the year. So they're going to have to campaign the entire 6-event season to be able to qualify for shoot of the year. And that was actually a suggestion that came to us from the pros themselves, feeling that to truly be representative of making a commitment and being a professional, that there shouldn't be an opportunity just to drop one event or a score. And that makes everybody on an even more level playing field in terms of their scoring. And, because you could have an event where you had rain, and that's the one you get to drop, where somebody else had to shoot in the rain and couldn't drop that one. So that's, I think, a thing that's going to, like I say, level that playing field. It does, based on our statistics, it's really not going to have a material effect on who actually wins it, per se. There would be, I think this last year, there would have been one class that would be the known pro class where it would have been a lot closer. But it didn't materially change the final results because the people at the top are shooting all the events and they're scoring well.
Well, from a broadcast standpoint, it makes a lot of sense as well, because now you can talk about Shooter of the Year as more of a national championship, which, Josh, as we talk about the broadcast, you're also general manager of CAM, of Competition Archery Media. So how does your role change at CAM, if at all? How is that all going to work?
The role won't be changing this year. That's one of the benefits of the partnership we're having with Mike, outside of the fact that I have a lot to learn about the ASA and what Mike does and his relationships at venues and stuff. But it allows me to continue to move this ball forward with Competition Archery Media, with Sportsman's Channel and the other stuff we have working on. And so my role here will be staying the same. I'll be located in Pennsylvania for now and working with the sponsors and the media team, such as yourself, and covering events. We're actually this year going to pick up and try some new stuff with NFA that we haven't done in the past as well. So we still have lots of plans, and we're still trying to be innovative and creative on the Competition Archery Media side as well.
So CAM's expanding its coverage across all of archery. And Josh, as you get deeper into your co-ownership of ASA, do you see any of that changing? I'm sure that some people are thinking out there, oh, wait a second, does this mean that CAM is now just an ASA property, or is it going to encompass everything it has before or even more?
No, it will. We'll continue to try to grow the sport of archery across the board. So one of the things we're doing this year is trying to create a better media team, where we travel to do events that, not every event needs to have our full broadcast trailer and 18 guys running around. They just need help promoting their event, getting photos out there, and stories told, and letting people know what other exciting opportunities there are with archery. So this year, one of our goals is to fine-tune that team so that we can pick up more events and our quality doesn't suffer anywhere.
Now, Mike, let's get back to you as it relates to ASA. And your relationship with Josh. So I know that obviously your long-term future is to just basically live on the golf course, or what you want to call retirement. I mean, either way, it's kind of the same thing. But when it comes to boots on the ground and decision-making process, are those things going to change? Because what we know is that archers have a lot of issues, of their own personal issues when they're on the range, and decisions need to be made. So is it a consulting type of a situation, or are you still in the position as president to be able to make those hard decisions in the moments that need it?
Right now, I'll be retaining the full operational control of ASA at the tournaments. So if I'm at the tournament and anything comes up, I'm going to be the guy they're going to go to for the final answer. That doesn't mean I won't be consulting with Josh as these things happen, keeping him in the loop on how these things are transpiring. So that that's part of the learning curve that Josh is going to have to experience of some of the things that actually do go on. He spent most of his time on the pro ranges with the CAM people. There's 1,800 other people out there shooting with other agendas, and probably the one thing he's going to have to get used to is having old people ask him why I put the ranges so far away from them and make them walk so far.
Wait, is that exclusive to old people? Because I've complained about that a couple of times. But,
yeah, well, just remember, But yeah, there's a whole series of things like that. I mean, there's classes that we have that they need to be analyzed and looked at to determine if it's actually the right fit for us to have these classes. We've expanded our offerings with the more traditional classes like bare bow and Olympic recurve, and that was partly because of our relationship with USA Archery, and that we started hosting their collegiate nationals. And as part of the collegiate nationals, those teams on a national basis do shoot those disciplines in 3D. And so that's where we first got into offering those classes as part of ASA's tournament mix, is to allow those guys the opportunity to come do those kind of things. And it allows us to make sure that when we are working with USA Archery and putting on their national event, that we're all doing the right thing. Because setting targets for traditional bows, bare bows, is a slightly different task than setting it for a pro range. And so we have to be mindful of who we're actually representing and working with.
Now, one of the things that's great if you come to an ASA event are the people that work for ASA, whether it's in the trailer, on the ranges. Are we going to see any changes because of this co-ownership now of personnel for 2022, or do we get to see those same awesome, smiling, familiar faces that we normally see at an ASA event? Again,
I think the continuity is critical. The same people will be there. Again, that staff, some of those guys in that staff have been with us I've been running ASA for 25 years now, and I've got staff guys who've been there actually longer than I have. And they're starting to look at the other grass, as you will, and the traveling and the hours that they're having to put in. So I'd say in the next year or two, we'll start to see a few of the older gentlemen start to transition out and bring in some new people. But I don't think anybody's ever going to look around and say, where'd everybody go? We're all still going to be there, and hopefully they'll enjoy what we're doing, and they won't see a change that's going to make them question why they come to an ASA tournament.
Now, Josh, looking at your investment here as co-owner, what do you see for the future of ASA? Where are you hoping to take ASA over the next 5, 10, or 15 years, or is that something that you don't want to reveal right now?
Well, we can talk about some of it. I mean, just to reiterate what Mike said, I have a lot to learn. I want to be the next few years take full advantage of having Mike around, and his relational capital with the venues, the shooters, the staff itself is invaluable. And so, I want to just learn and watch, but I'd say one of the things I want to see happen, is for the ASA to be known. What we fell in love with, the tournament feel, the people that were there, and just wanting to be a part of it, is getting that word out. And so looking at, some marketing pieces, how do we let people know that this awesome opportunity exists? Because I think, and Mike would probably agree, one of the biggest issues, his eyebrows go up, so we'll have to see if he agrees or not. But one of the things that I think, should probably be ASA's biggest problem is finding venues big enough with enough campsites and housing around, because we have an awesome product that I think once people experience, they'll want to continue to be a part of.
That's awesome. Well,
I do know Josh wants me to put an event on up north someplace, but I have to find the right site.
North California, spreading them around the country, it's going to be difficult. There's some expensive places, but obviously the sport is growing, and it's growing in a positive way.
Yeah, we've had sites in Michigan, we've had sites in Virginia, we've had sites in Pennsylvania, but those sites that we used at those particular times, we outgrew them very rapidly. Once we went from a 10 range event to a 12 event to 14 full ranges. I mean, we put up over 400 targets just for one pro-am. And that's not something you can find the perfect fit of saying, okay, here's all the Wi-Fi and internet we need, here's all the power we need, here's all the hotels and everything. I mean, the Rubik's Cube of finding a site is probably the most difficult part of the job that Josh is going to have to confront. I'll watch that.
Yeah, I was going to say, way to get him fired up to get into this job, Mike. Which leads me to this next question. Archery, as a community, is probably one of the biggest leaking ships I've ever seen. It is really difficult to keep a secret in archery. So how did you two keep this such a well-guarded secret over the entire time that you guys have been talking and moving up to this deal being done?
We didn't tell anybody outside of a very small group of people that work here in the office, and Josh did the same thing. I mean, it's not an idea that we had to bounce off other people. We just both had to get comfortable with it, understand what we were doing, and I think the fact that we were able to keep it a secret as long as we did bodes very well for our future, that we were able to work together and not basically end up in a situation where the phones are ringing for the wrong reasons.
Now, either one of you guys, are there questions that you think or that participants or fans are going to have about this transition that you want to address right now, or did we cover most of it?
Take it, Josh. You tell me what you think.
Well, there's, I think you hit it. One of the big questions will be competition archery media. What does that look like? Continuing to stay here. We have personal interest for staying here as well, too. My youngest daughter's in a school that we love, and we'd love to see her finish there. So, I think outside of that, I think we hit most of the questions that people might have. There might be, we can always edit this out later. There might be the elephant in the room. This is Josh Grind and family wanting to be involved in the ASA and not for Competition Archery Media or Lancaster Archery Supply. This was a personal thing that my family and I decided that we wanted to be involved in. We like this. We want to see it grow, and we want to see it continue into the future.
No, that's great. Mike, do you have anything that you can think of with your vast years of experience?
Well, Josh hit on something I think is very important. Part of this process was getting comfortable with each other and knowing that Josh had the skill set that we felt was there, that we needed to keep ASA going forward. It takes a lot of people to do what we do, but to have the temperament, and his temperament's better than mine. Actually, I think I've gone off a couple times on him. He's never gone off on me. Let's put it that way. And that was kind of a funny conversation. But I think that finding the fit of the person to come in, as well as working out the financial details of a partnership like this, I think we went into it, and I think came up with what I think is a good structure, a good direction for the business, and a person that I would feel very comfortable turning the keys over to.
Cool. Well, with that said, I think that'll do it for this podcast. I want to thank the two of you for being on here, and I really want to congratulate you on the future of ASA and in your co-partnership, and I hope everything works out as co-owners. I will be there to pick up the pieces just in case things start to fall apart. Don't worry about it.
Good. Thanks, Greg.
Appreciate it, Greg. We're looking forward to it, too.
All right. Take care. See you guys later. Thanks for checking out Competition Archery Media's podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned to this channel because there's a lot more coming at you over the course of 2022.